Hi everyone, it's Sarah from the Support Worker Store. Today I've got a guest and I've got Steve from Higher Purpose Accounting. So Steve, can you tell us something about your business and how you got there?
Okay, so I started higher purpose accounting because really I could see that people struggled with the complexities of finances and managing it and all that kind of stuff. So, in doing so, really it was about, helping them achieve their higher purpose in their business, right? Because they're not able to do so if they don't have these sort of financial foundations and things in place. So, and having spent 25 plus years working in organisations across government and not for profit and other small businesses, I kind of realised the stuff I was doing for them, I could help other businesses with
Yeah.
and help a lot more as being a consultant rather than an employee. So I kind of set my path of doing that about 7 years or so ago. And basically, I don't come from a traditional tax and bookkeeper background. I come from working, in organisations and understanding all these other things that kind of happen besides just those compliance things. And so really that kind of helps people around the coal face day to day and week type stuff through the month rather than just dealing with something at the end of a quarter or end of a year and things like that. And, and it was also too about taking a genuine interest in people's businesses. So that, inviting them to where they wanted to get, having a framework and a safety net under them.
So you've been operational for 7 years. How did you come up with your name?
Well, really, yeah, I wanted to come up with something that was a bit different so that it would stand out. And really, it was, I know we all have things that kind of inspire us. And, I saw that as, that's like your purpose in life and everything. And so I was thinking, right, okay, so if it's something around purpose, then what is it? Well, really, we're trying to achieve it and be the best we can. So I thought, well, higher purpose sounds like a good name. And I checked it out and yeah, there was nobody in the accounting space in particular had that name. So I was like, yep, get that. And I trademarked
Yeah.
it at the same time. And so it went from there. But really, these things get us out of bed each day and inspire
Yeah.
us. And, well, might be support workers, they're helping their clients and,
Yeah.
so that they can live better lives. So the way I saw it is I can help them to have a better life and help more people by having a business that would support them in that way. And, people can resonate and they ask me questions about it. So, you know, it definitely is something that stands out. And it's
Yeah.
great to just see people's faces light up when they realise that, there's more to the finances than just taxes and super and those kind of things.
Yeah. So with all that, you do help independent support workers with their business finances because, so have you noticed a more shift of seeing more independent support workers in the market, especially when it comes to helping them with accounting?
Yeah, well, this is it. I find that, it's support workers get into the market to help people. They don't get in it to do admin and their finances and all that kind of stuff. So really, it's about helping them with their literacy, get
Yeah.
organised and be accountable and all that kind of stuff, but try to take it away from them feeling that it's a burden and it's something to fear and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff and help them to just be empowered where they can be, and just
Yeah.
understand that having a bit of a framework and doing things regularly and consistency is just going to help them stay in
Yeah.
business first, but gain some sort of peace of mind around what's happening and stuff. So yeah, and then it's just about managing risks and taking
Yeah.
action and having visibility on things, and then things will stay more settled and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also too, kind of helping them also too to what things to look out for as well, because sometimes there's people out there trying to take advantage or whatever. So
So
yeah, that kind of thing.
with independence, a few people that start off independent, they build their business, they grow it, and they decide to be a company. Do you also assist people making the transition from being a solo support worker to a company? Because the tax is completely different, I have learned. From being from independence to owning a company, the expectations are different, or like there's so much more than just being a solo, because being a solo is really quite easy. When you hit the company part, it gets a little bit tricky and harder.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely more compliance aspects then, when you're
Yeah.
independent, it's really just being like, really like it's similar to being an employee type thing, except it's yours, you're self-employed. When it's a company, yeah, you've got to have, you got to make sure you got the right sort of structure in place. You need to make sure that you're meeting certain compliance deadlines and things. You've got to
Yep.
report to ASIC and whoever else. If you're a not-for-profit, you've got to report to ACNC, that they're the charities and not-for-profit commission as well. So yeah, um, there's all those kind of things to consider on top of it. And,
Yep.
so really, yeah, well, what gets them in crisis is that, yeah, first is not necessarily knowing everything that they need to do. So finding and then sometimes they've come from working with somebody who is not particularly understanding the NDIS sector in the first place. So really it's about helping them to look at the foundation of things that they've got in place, know what their financial tasks are. And another thing is that also too making sure that they're invoicing, claiming or whatever regularly and following up on things to make sure that the cash is actually coming into the bank account.
I find it sometimes like, how do you explain it? Because I don't have a tax background. And I sometimes find it like, especially when, like dated accountants in that sense of which one would fit my business and what works. How do you simplify it for people so they can understand pretty much?
Right? So you just need to simplify it in terms of the language you use in the first place so
Yeah.
people understand.
It
So,
just flows out.
yeah, that's right. Money is a flow and you have to treat it right. It's kind of things are what you need to have in your mind when you're doing all these kind of things. But really like I help people by just first understanding what they've actually got in place in the first place and where they're at in terms of their knowledge. And then we work on improving their knowledge, but also to creating a mind map about what all the activities are that they need to do in order to get to where they need to be. Because
Mhm.
everybody's a bit different in how they're set up, what systems they have, um,
And
if they
you were
have
right,
systems.
because not every accountant is the same. There's people that, like yourself, that NDIS is your world, so you know how to speak the language. To go to an accountant that doesn't have any NDIS understanding is incredibly difficult. And I know that when I've dated my accountants, that was an area that I didn't want to be a part of. I wanted somebody
Yeah,
like yourself that could speak the language and understand that, it's not as simple to get money in, especially from the NDIS at the moment, to be getting your bills paid from plan managers. It's incredibly difficult.
that's right. Yeah, all those things with payment blocks or yeah, plan managers that are trying to exercise the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law, and all this kind of stuff. They're just going, oh, it says we can't do that, but they're not understanding what it is that's trying
Yep.
to be achieved. So you've got people who are doing things legitimately, having hold-ups all the
Yeah.
time, and other people who just know how to work the system. Their stuff is actually getting processed. So
Yeah.
it's a crazy place to be.
Do you have quite a variety of clientele in the NDIS sector? I dare say from independents, from support companies to plan managers to support coordination. Is there anything that I'm missing, like NDIS wise, that you provide accounting consultancy for?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's pretty much. Yeah, so it could be people who are support coordinators. It can be someone who's a not-for-profit. They can be a
Yeah.
not-for-profit, but they're doing all these different things that are NDIS related, and sometimes they're even doing aged care and child-related things as well. One of my clients is actually doing they've got NDIS, they've got a couple of daycare centres as well, but
Yeah.
most of the children in the centre, kids that have got some form of disability or learning difficulty and things like that. So they've got that kind of thing, and they've got different funding models because some part of their funding is coming from the NDIS, and part of it's
Yeah.
coming from some sort of government funding through grants and stuff. So there's all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So yeah, there isn't just a stock standard. Hey, there's an NDIS person
Yeah.
business. So it's understanding all those and being able to adapt things that fit for each of those different businesses.
Sounds messy. I just want
that's
to do
it,
one thing really well. So
totally,
one of
yeah.
the
So
things that
really,
I
just we got to have a
yeah.
framework in place, and
Oh,
then
100%
and
because it's
adapt
so
as
easy to
needed.
stuff up. Too
Mm.
easy to stuff up. So one of the services that I noticed that you offer is a virtual CFO. Can you give us more information on what, for some people might not even know what a CFO is, but your one being a virtual one?
Okay, so basically, a CFO is someone who provides like a ongoing financial strategy or planning and analysis for a business. And so, a virtual one's basically, someone who's going to provide it by not actually being there.
Yep.
And so, usually they're people who are part-time, working in the business. They're remote, but it enables a business to get the kind of financial expertise without actually having somebody in-house doing it for you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So we're looking at things like, analyzing financial data or creating budgets or forecasting what your cash is going to be and all those kind of
Yeah.
things. And then, but also too thinking about, if, how do we get a cash surplus, and when we do have it, what are we going to do with it? What are we doing in
Yeah.
terms of our, the business? Where are you wanting to go with your business? So how do we set things up so that you can actually go things? So, around, well, I mentioned cash, but, there's other things like insurance or government or clients. Clients come and go. You've got to have something in place to manage that as well. And then there's
Yeah.
those compliance things like super and taxes.
I could imagine this being quite useful for somebody that's quite small to have somebody virtually doing it. And with all of this expertise that you've got, and it being such a really hard sector at the moment with money flow, have you got a success story of somebody that you've helped and have assisted them with your business to be able to, get back on track financially?
Yeah, so who I can think of is there's a lady who she's been in the care sector pretty much since she left school. So she got a fair bit of experience. She went off and studied. Um, support, individual support and stuff like that, through TAFE and that. So, she's really committed and passionate about what she's doing. And so, after having this kind of having this experience and working in a number of different organizations, it was like, I can do something different, that's not necessarily being supplied by the people she's been working for. So really, she decided to set that up, and basically she got things in place, but she didn't really understand, other than like the compliance aspects for the client side of things, really how to manage her finances. She knew she needed
Yeah.
to get paid, so she had to invoice or claim. She knows that she needs to have money first to pay herself, and then as she started to expand, to
Yep.
pay someone else who she had working with her, she'd employed. And then things like, she's got to do super and all that kind of thing, right? And lodge a tax return at the end of the year, but
Yeah.
not the running the finances day to day. Didn't really
Yep.
understand that. Just like, oh well, I'll just give it to them and I'll make the whole thing work out. I'm a bit further down the track. But then that just creates a whole lot of stress, for her.
Yeah.
So really, she just needed some tools and things like that to be able to actually do things, each week, each month or whatever, so that she can stay on top of it. So she actually came to me after negative experience with another accountant who really didn't understand what
Yeah.
was going on, which we were saying
Yeah.
earlier. And yeah, it just basically, saw her as someone she prepared a tax return for, and
Yeah.
really just doing that compliance aspect and nothing really else, and not really interested in the NDIS. So she was kind of pulling her hair out at that time. So she kind of told me about all what had been happening, and we worked through what she had, what she didn't have, which was quite a number of things. And then I put together a prioritized plan, which basically set out what is it we need to do, when do we need to do it, who's doing it, and start making it happen. And also to that included like having first some weekly sessions so we could get some stuff happening, and then move into a fortnightly
Yep.
kind of rhythm. So she knew what she had to do. We just kind of
Yep.
work through it and all those kind of things. And I just was there to help support and everything. So she's got a foundation and consistency and regularity happening and
Yep.
everything else. So now she's got all those things in place.
Yep.
She's got peace of mind. She knows what she's doing with her finances, and she can actually focus confidently on the service delivery, but just knows that she's she knows what she has to do each day, week, month,
Yep.
etc. And she's got money set aside for things so that she can pay them as needed rather than scrambling around trying to find it well after the fact of when she needed it.
Yep, it's not our strong point. We're very good at providing care to people. When it comes to this type of stuff, I'll be the first to admit that I don't find it that much fun. I know it's a part of owning a business that you have to be on top of these things, and you have to have these type of delicate conversations to make sure that you're up below, and every dollar has a job. I understand all those type of things in between, but as we
Yes,
get
totally.
into the NDIS sector, and there's a lot more people like support workers coming through, I noticed that you actually provide training for support workers and you've got courses available on your website. Can you run me through some of the stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So I do. Basically, I have a whole set of courses. So I've got, I think that's six courses, which are the financial foundation. So we start out looking
Yeah.
at things like, kind of like what sort of habits do you need to have? Then we kind of move
Yeah.
into business planning or budgeting and cash forecasting and all that kind of stuff and setting aside the money. And then into understanding the numbers in your business and what things are driving what around your income and your expenses so you can actually make proper decisions. So those the key ones. But I also have one specifically for the NDIS sector that kind of is more tailored so that it's taking aspects from each of those, but it's shining an NDIS light on it and giving you information around those things like claiming, etc. That
Yeah.
is a bit different to running a normal business where you might just be doing invoicing or taking
Yeah.
payment when somebody comes and sees you.
But
So
this is
yeah,
definitely a course for support workers that they can log in at any time to purchase of you if they wish to dive a bit deeper into it, because being an independent, you're a business owner. So for
that's
these
right.
independent business owners and small businesses, this is the type of course that will set them up to get them on their way to becoming quite stable financially for their business.
Yeah, that's correct. It will. And the thing is with the course, you've got the online course, but you can also reach out to me and, get
Yeah.
extra assistance along the way as well. And I also have a financial fitness program, which is a group
Yeah.
program. It takes from that and from those particular courses, but it also enables people to, in a group setting, ask questions, hear what other people are
Yeah.
talking about as well. So, there's also, yeah, it kind of helps them to not feel like they're alone, that they're supported,
Yeah.
not just, hey, go out and do a course and then come back to me when you've done it kind of thing. It's not that.
Yeah.
And it's the care
So
sector, so we need some care in what we're doing.
absolutely. I agree with you, but I would say that doing the courses means that you enjoy teaching. What part of the course do you enjoy teaching the most?
I think really I would say it's probably around the thing around managing cash. It seems to be the worst done by many people. And I just enjoy the aspect of getting people to understand how having a budget without a cash forecast is not going to help you. Like, as in, it sets the framework, but you've got to understand the timing of when things are happening. Because if you don't, then you're going to get yourself into trouble. And a lot, cash is not a straight line going up and down or whatever, it's going up and down and everything. And so you've got to be able to know when you're going to have the highs and when the lows might come and how do you adjust things. And so helping people to do that and also set aside money in separate accounts for understanding is really one of the key things I enjoy teaching people. People kind of go, well, I've got a bank account, that's right. But what you've got at the moment isn't helping you to get visibility on what you're doing. But then there's more accounts and I've got more things to reconcile or look at. Yeah, but you're looking at something, you actually see something, not a whole lot of jumbled mess in one place. It does because they get with the financial fitness side of things, they've got tools that like checklists and things. So you're not having to think about what you've got to do. It's in front of you. You just follow what it is. Pick it off as you go, and it's rinse and repeat, if it's weekly, monthly, whatever. And then once you've got that in place as well, you can create like a financial timeline so you know across the year what's happening at different times of the year. So And if you've got more than one person working on all these different things, you can actually allocate them and color code it. So you can actually look at it and see what's going on. And you can see where one person might have a whole lot of stuff to do as opposed to somebody else, or that everything's happening on a Monday or everything's happening the day after month end. And you can just say it. Because some things just you don't have to wait to the month end to do some things. You just go, okay, this is when we're going to close it off, you know? And so you just one by one work at those things. So my best advice is you need to get things planned out, right? So you need to work out exactly where it is you want to go and what is it you need in terms of the resources and things. And if you don't know what that is, then talk to someone like myself that can help you work it out. And then work at it step by step, all right? But also too, you got to remember if you're going to grow, you might find that your costs may not move at the same level as your income does initially. So you might end up with more costs even though you're getting a bit more income because now you've got extra people on or you've got something extra happening. It's harder than talking to a group of people, standing up and talking in a group of people. Yes. So it's a two-man band. So there's myself, the financial aspects, and then I have a VA who supports me with the administrative aspects and all the other stuff. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. And then for things like, and if people want things like bookkeeping or they want tax and stuff, I outsource that to other people who I trust. But they also too, they understand the NDIS sector, right? And they have children who are on the spectrum or something like that. So they know both sides of the coin. Yes, yeah, they do. Like sometimes when I first explaining how it works, people are like, "Can't I just get everything through one person directly and all this kind of stuff?" And I go, "What you're getting is actually a much better deal rather than." Someone who might be good at one aspect and a whole lot of generalists, you've got a whole group of people who actually understand the environment you work in, plus the finances, and their particular aspect. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Yeah, created it from networking. So getting to know people through networking, being introduced to people who are doing particular things, having them work for me in another aspect. So there's a lady who's a bookkeeper who actually worked for me on another project before she actually came and worked in this sense. So yeah, it's just been in that respect, it's come from that way I've found has been the best way to actually get the trust factor in.